Another victoryless Monday for the New York Jets at 0-7. Times continue to get choppy. It's October 20th and the Jets haven't found a win yet. Well, we're going to sort through all the madness, quarterback drama, Aaron Glenn non-committal on who his guy's going to be. It's a disaster. Let's talk about it. Boy Green Daily starts now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Dewey Mama.
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Hey everybody, I'm Paul Eston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily. If it's your first time, this is a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate you joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, give a pity like and a pity subscribe if you'd like. We got a bunch of subscribers yesterday who apparently are gluttons for punishment, which I respect. We're only a handful of subscribers away from 8,100. So shout out to all the Jet fans that have united together as we band together and try to commiserate with one another. This is embarrassing, man. This is embarrassing. Justin Fields, Phil, you said it good in the comment section. The experiment is over with the Justin Fields experiment. An absolute disaster. There you go. Throw it up on the screen. To anyone who thinks Justin Fields is our future quarterback, please stop. The experiment is over. It certainly feels that way. And, man, I want to start off with the big salute to the defense, man. Twice. They've held opponents to 13 points. 13 in the Denver game, week 6. 13 the Carolina game, week 7. And somehow, some way, that wasn't enough. The Jets, we've got history for you. Everyone loves history. Okay. Where's that nugget? I have it right here. Here it is. The Jets have scored only 17 points in the past 2 games, becoming only the second team in a decade to hold back-to-back opponents to 13 points or fewer and found a way to lose both games. Oh, wow. Interesting. Thank you, Ritz Samiti, for that. The defense last week finally showed up. And some of us were like, was that a blip on the radar or a sign of things to come? Did the defense just finally wake up? And it looks like the defense finally woke up. Yeah. They did their job. 13 points. That should be more than a reasonable enough total for the offense to put up the requisite amount of points to win a game, yet they have failed to do so. The offense is embarrassing, man. Whether it's Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor did. So Justin Fields gets benched at halftime. He stunk. He had a 50% completion percentage through 46 passing yards. Couldn't see the field. Didn't take chances. Justin Fields was unequivocally awful. Yeah. And that's the second straight week he's been terrible. Justin Fields. That is who we're talking about here. Here's some more history on old Justin Fields. He has no interceptions this season, which we've championed, but the offense is anemic. He has averaged 4 yards per pass attempt over the last 2 games. That's the only quarterback to do so in the last 2 seasons. And this is a sad nugget, right? So we talk about this wonderful tailgate experience we had for the Jets-Cowboys game, and it was great. Again, James Woody, great entertainment coordinator, co-host, Lou B, DJ Gina Turner, Chef Kevin Gilbert's beautiful wife, his son Kevin Jr. Like, there was a lot of people, and it was really cool. What I didn't anticipate, though, was that the last touchdown the Jets scored is one that I saw in the stadium, which was like 3 weeks ago. The Jets scored 2 field goals against the Panthers. Against Denver, they scored 3 field goals and a safety. So the last touchdown for the New York Jets was scored with 1:42 remaining in the fourth quarter of a blowout loss to the Dallas Cowboys back on Sunday, October 5th. It was 15 days ago. That was the last touchdown the Jets scored. And you want to know, I'm watching the rest of the NFL, right? Once the Jets work gets done, we do our pregame show, we do the watch party and analysis, we do the postgame, and then I write some articles, and then I go, whew, let me watch some football. Let me catch up on the football around the league that I missed. And I'm seeing touchdowns all over the place. So, I mean, there are touchdowns that are happening by accident. And the Denver Giants game, too, got deflected up in the air and just, touchdown. That happened by accident twice. And the Jets haven't done it in 2 full games in the National Football League? Oh, good night. They can't even accidentally get in the end zone. This is just, how do we do this? How do we do this on a week-to-week basis? We're 0-7, the only winless team in football, man. Good Lord. By the way, I want to give a shout-out because I didn't get the chance to highlight that comment yesterday. AntJets82, Ant-Man. He bought a Boy Green coffee mug. I appreciate that. And let us know when you receive that, my friend. I'm still working on the new merch shop. It's been at the same standstill that these Jets have been at 0-7. So we're working on a brand new merch shop behind the scenes with all kinds of cool gizmos and gadgets, and hopefully we have an update to do. We've been working on some difficulties behind the scenes. I want to make sure when we launch it, it's good to go. I don't want any issues. So we're still working on that, like the Jets are working on trying to get a win. Good Lord. Antonio says, I lost my Garn Dog Bananas. Well, haven't we all, pal? Dick Chimney's burner. The opening silence says it all. It's quite frankly where we're at right now, man. It's just difficult. Alon says, Brady Cook time. Hey, like AG, right? Let's go to Aaron Glenn for a second with this whole debacle. Aaron Glenn, after the Denver game, was asked, hey, did you consider, looking ahead to next week, would you consider benching Justin Fields? And he completely dismissed it. Like, what a stupid question. And then a week later, he benches Justin Fields at halftime. A week ago, you guys were like, hey, Brady Cook time? And I completely dismissed it. I'm like, guys, come on. But now I'm completely open to it. It probably doesn't happen on a short week against Cincinnati, but with 2 weeks with the bye, so the Jets travel to play the Cincinnati Bengals upcoming week 8. Week 9 is a bye, and then week 10 they come out and play Cleveland. Now, Cleveland's got a really good defense, so that's not ideal, but if you're looking for the time element, maybe the Jets do bring up Brady Cook and say, fuck it, I don't know. Because the Justin Fields experiment is over, man. And he has $10 million in guaranteed money for next year. So he's going to be here unless the Jets just eat that. I don't know why you would. So he's your bridge/backup quarterback because you're drafting a rookie next year. And by the way, real quick, I want to give a quick PSA on what we're about to get into, right? So we just had an offseason where we sort of flirted with the idea that the Jets could take a quarterback. They ended up not taking a quarterback in the draft. They signed Brady Cook as an undrafted free agent. But I want to give some advice to all of us, including myself. I'm giving myself advice on this show. As we are about to dip our toes in the waters, if you haven't already, in the Jets potentially drafting a quarterback in a couple of months. The advice is this. Let's keep an open mind. Because Jackson Dart, right? He's killing it for the Giants. They're 2-5, but the Giants they got a franchise quarterback, it looks like. There was groupthink among Jet fans on Jackson Dart. Now, there are a few exceptions. There's a few of you out there in the universe that's going to say, I was a Jackson Dart guy. And God bless you if you were. But the majority, and I pride myself on sort of having the pulse of the fan base as a fan myself and reading and absorbing a lot of content being out there in the Jets social media streets. There's a lot of Jet fans. There's some influential Jets people that said, Jackson Dart, that would be stupid. Like, what an awful pick that would be in the first round. A lot of Jet influential, I'm not going to name names, but a lot of influential Jets people said that. And that influence, a lot of Jet fans go, yeah, Jackson Dart, fuck that guy. Very early in the process, that was the conversation. and Jackson Dart looks really good. So the majority of those people were wrong. But they dismissed it at the beginning of the offseason, so anyone who brought it up was an idiot. And I'm just saying, as we head into this key offseason, where the Jets are very likely taking a quarterback, we need to be open to all options. We need to not eliminate anyone. We need to look under every friggin' rock and do our homework as fans, trying to watch these guys and hear different conversations, but also the team and media and everybody. We can't rule out anyone. We can't just say, screw this guy. I don't like him for whatever reason. We need to do our due diligence. The moral of the story is, quite frankly, we don't know shit. The people, all the and there are Jets draft people and draft people in general that do this for a living and watch a tape and do all kinds of wonderful stuff. And, they do a lot of homework on this. But it just goes to show that the quarterback search is an inexact science. And a lot of Jet fans and media were wrong last year or this offseason that just happened on Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart looks great. He's got swagger. He's tough as nails and all these things. And there's some Jet fans who wanted him, but most didn't. And again, it is what it is. The milk is spilled. The whatever has happened. The bullets are fired. Like, you can't go back and get Jackson Dart now. And I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying we need to learn lessons from our mistakes if we have any hope to getting out of this hellhole. That's my conversation to have as we move forward. Just want to throw that out there in the universe. Leo Gold. Who cares? You picked the Jets to win the division. And yes, people can make all their jokes. I am an optimistic Jets fan. I will not hide that. I'm not embarrassed of that at all. I'm embarrassed of this team, but I'm not embarrassed of revving my engine in the offseason. So Leo Gold, I know you've said this several times on Twitter. In an attempt to dunk on me, I assume. And Leo, enjoy it. I don't run from it. I don't run from my optimism. I get myself up every year. And it's not fake. It's not manufactured. It's just optimism I have in my soul to believe in this team. And that leads to some painful moments because when you build yourself up every year and then the Jets let you down, that's a painful reality. But no, I'm not afraid to admit that I was high on my Jets this year and that I believed in Aaron Glenn and I believed in Justin Fields. I'm not embarrassed of that at all. So, Leo, if that is your attempt, yeah, I'm all for holding people accountable. So please feel free to continue to let people know that I picked the Jets to win the division. But I'm not embarrassed by that. I'm always revved up for my team. And Taylor's pointing out the quarterback choices. 3 points and 3 sacks, or 3 points, 3 sacks, and 2 picks. Yeah, Tyrod Taylor stinks too. I said this during the week when we were talking about the quarterback decision. Like, there was a lot of people who said, we should just bench Justin Fields. Tyrod Taylor stinks too. But we're in this morass of like, it doesn't matter now. I mentioned it during the game. Like, boy, if Aaron Glenn benches Justin Fields at halftime, totally warranted. Justin Fields is sucking right now. Can't see the field. Bench him, as far as I'm concerned. And they did. And Tyrod threw 2 picks, and really both picks were bad. I know J.C. Horn made cool plays, but they were bad. Tyrod Taylor underthrew a wide open Al Lazard on the right hash the first time, and that wasn't a pick. And then he underthrew Josh Reynolds, which ended up being a pick. And then at the end of the game, with like 4 minutes to go, you're down a touchdown. He throws a one-on-one to Josh Reynolds and you have to have it down. That was very confusing. So terrible from Tyrod Taylor. So Phil is saying, why not trade for Tanner McKee? That is MCKEE of the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe. Sure. Mahar Khalil says, I want an Instant Coffee Club shirt. We got to work on that. It's a good idea. It's a good idea, Mahar. We'll work on that in the back. Hep says, let's see if Brady Cook could be developed into a backup quarterback, which wouldn't be a bad result if you can. Yeah. For what he is, an undrafted free agent. Can't hurt. Hep says, if we could dump Fields, let's do it. Yeah, I don't know if a trade can happen, but very unlikely. But if they could get any sort of cap relief, I guess you have to consider it. Oh, yeah, salute to June, the GM. Mr. Fulton, good to see you in here. Salute to Mr. Fulton. Good morning to Indy Jets in here in the chat. Make sure you guys hit up the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby. That's a pinned comment on youtube.com/boygreen25. Make sure you guys join the Boy Green Coffee Club. We'll commiserate together. Joe Boom Jet says, we are so bad, it's good. Well, you can only hope. This tanking stuff has been wildly inconsistent. Joey R, see, I knew there's people in the chat. By the way, I couldn't stop talking to my wife about how much I wanted Jackson Dart. See, I know there was a few of you out there. I knew there was a few of you out there. But the majority, from my temperature, did not want Jackson Dart and completely threw him out. And I'm like, at the time, I bought it too. I'm like, all right, well, if that's what these important people say, I guess so. And I'm just saying, now seeing the results, it's worth going back and saying, we need to relook at our process of how we're saying, this guy sucks or this guy's good. Because obviously our meter is off. So we need to recalibrate it, is what I'm saying. So, for sure. The key. On paper, we should have been better, but how this team is performing is extremely terrible. Yes. When you look at a handful of the all-pro talent all over the place, former all-pro talent, we should be playing better, and we're not. That is 1,000% true. Jared B says, Tyrod took shots. He did, right? So you're fucked if you do, you're fucked if you don't, right? So Justin Fields didn't take any shots, and it was scared and played conservative, so we're screwed from that perspective. And then with Tyrod, he's taken too many shots and putting us in bad position. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Maybe Brady Cook, maybe that's the right porridge, right? Ooh, this porridge is too hot. This porridge is too cold. Maybe Brady Cook's porridge is just right. Maybe we'll find out here soon. I don't know. It's a tough place to be, though. And then the Jets' offensive line has fallen apart. They've allowed 20 sacks over the last 3 games. 20 sacks. Unbelievable. Here's this, which is just mind-blowing, right? So week 6, Denver. No surprise that Denver took our lunch money in terms of sacks. They led the league in sacks coming in. They had 9 sacks. Now, that's more than I think anyone could have possibly anticipated. But, 9 sacks, they give the Jets their lunch money. And you can kind of come away from that game and go, well, Denver's pretty good. Carolina had 5 sacks through the first 6 weeks of the season. Combined, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 total through 6 weeks. In the Jets game alone, they had 6. The Panthers, try to wrap your mind around that. The Panthers had more sacks in one game against the Jets than they had combined the entire first 6 weeks of the season. How is that even possible? So, what? So the offensive line, good Lord. I mean, they're falling apart here. Now, there's a lot of hope for the future and everything else, but what about the present, for the love of God? I mean, yikes. Joey R says, why not trade for Mac Jones at the trade deadline, especially when Purdy comes back? Yeah, I don't think the Jets are in buyer mode at the deadline. First off, the 49ers wouldn't do it because you don't know when Purdy's coming back. And by the way, why would the 49ers give up the benefit of having an additional quarterback? What could we possibly give the 49ers? First off, I hate Mac Jones' guts. But number 2, what you would have to so overpay to get Mac Jones from the 49ers. And what is he doing on an 0-17 that he doesn't even know the offensive playbook? That just doesn't make sense. Now, I'm sure the 49ers might flip Mac Jones during the offseason. I want no part of that. We should just pursue our own path. We have tried forever to get other people's rejects and turn them into our guys. The path of least resistance is picking a guy ourselves. It's not easy. We fucked that up too. Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. We've drafted guys, and it hasn't worked out. But that is the path, right? The Washington Commanders, although that's a bad example coming off this weekend and Jaden gets hurt. But Jaden Daniels, right? The Washington Commanders team sucks. Ownership, everyone's saying crap about the ownership, and then it changes, and they get Jaden Daniels, and then he helps turn that organization around. The friggin' New England Patriots, Drake May. They get it right, and the rest starts to come together. So the Jets need to draft their own quarterback. Long story short. Intel Alon says Fields will be let go after the season. We'll see if the Jets just eat the money. I'm not sure. T-Town Jet says, come on, man, hit the like button. That's a free way to contribute to this program. We're live every single day at 7:30 in the morning. Like the video, hit subscribe to the 300 people watching the show. Appreciate you this morning. NC Green says, hoping Saucer's watching J.C. Horn play cornerback. Turn your head occasionally, you might get a pick. Yeah, the picks, obviously, I mean, it just speaks for itself. The Jets have one takeaway on the season through the first 7 weeks. And thankfully, we got that one, or we'd still be hearing about that turnover or takeaway monkey, rather, because the Jets had that monkey on their back about not getting a takeaway, and they only have one, and that happened in the beginning of that Broncos game at the punch-out, or we'd still not have a takeaway. So, yeah, Sauce, I'd love to see the picks and turnovers and stuff of that nature. The defense played awesome yesterday, so it's going to be hard for me to criticize anything defensively, quite frankly. But Either Key says there's no getting worse, right? I sort of said that this morning. I'm like, is this rock bottom? No, it's not. It's not rock bottom. There's more rock bottom to come. Hopefully the Jets can strap it up here and wake up, but it just... And then Aaron Glenn, right? So let's get to Aaron Glenn, and we should have a special guest joining us in a few minutes. More on that in a minute. But I told you guys on the postgame show yesterday that one thing I was confounded with Aaron Glenn again was, hey, you were at the end of the first half, and you had a chance for a Hail Mary again. You had time out your back pocket at midfield. Like, why didn't you take it? Because they just let the time expire and said, no, we're good. And I said, man, that seems stupid, but let's hear what Aaron Glenn has to say after the game. Well, obviously I didn't get to do that during the postgame show, so I said, well, let's do it after the game. Or shows. All my shows were over. I'm like, let me listen. And he says, we got sacked on back-to-back plays, so. Yeah, I guess, but, like, Justin Fields is holding on to the ball forever. Like, in a Hail Mary situation, you just sort of chuck it and hope for the best. I still don't get, like, that just doesn't seem like a good enough excuse by AG on not throwing the Hail Mary at the end of the half. I just don't. That's back-to-back weeks. That's hard to describe. That's hard to, sort of explain. Leonardo Santos, Boy Green Coffee Club member. You have a raffle ticket for a contest this month. I appreciate it, Leonardo. Same here, Boy Green, but it's more painful being a season ticket holder. We should get a refund. To be honest, I'd be with you. If I lived closer, I would be a season ticket holder. Now, I don't know how that would work with Boy Green Daily, so maybe I couldn't be because of my dedication to this show. So maybe it wouldn't be possible. I would want to be, though, like, not based on this recent product, but like the thought of being able to go to every home game and be with whoever's in your section and just be part of that experience. Like, in theory, that's really cool. Now, unfortunately for you guys, you've been, subject to this terrible football, but yeah. In theory, it makes a lot of sense. It makes sense. Let's keep reading your guys' comments here. Sean Murphy says, is it bad that I'd rather cut Justin Fields right now rather than later? I get his cap is high, but it needs to be done. Yeah, it's unlikely to happen at this point. Unless he was some sort of a malcontent in the locker room. And I heard Justin Fields' comments after. By the way, I'm sure he's not going to get a lot of this, but respect to Justin Fields. He didn't have to speak to the media after getting benched after the game. He could have just tucked his tail between his legs and gone. I respect that he spoke with the media after. He didn't have to do that. And also, like, there's a media guy by all these players as they're doing interviews or press conferences, whatever you want to call them. And then they go, 2 more, 1 more. Right? That's a media guy that's standing next to him. And the media guy was trying to get Justin Fields out of there early. And Justin Fields turned to the media guy and said, it's good. I'll take some questions. I'll take more questions, basically. So I respect that for Justin Fields. He didn't have to do that. Dalt says, can't be 10-7 without being 0-7. We can only hope. I would love that kind of turnaround. I'd love wins. And we haven't seen one so far this season. Danny, in real life, Jets being the worst team in the league the year before Manning enters the draft, time is a flat circle. Yeah. Arch Manning looks awful, so I'm fine not being involved in that particular Manning exchange here. Let's see. We had a membership coming in. Let me give a shout out. There he is. AntJets 82, baby. A Boy Green Coffee Club membership. Let's welcome another into the club. AntJets 82, a new member to the Boy Green Coffee Club. That membership went to Taylor Sterling. Taylor, there you go. Make sure you you get a month free of Boy Green Coffee Club perks. Taylor, make sure at the end of the month you hit that re-sign button. And you won't need to be gifted anymore. You'll just have the membership every week moving forward. So you can enjoy all the perks of the Boy Green Coffee Club. We can all enjoy this together. I call it one of the best deals in YouTube land. For only $3 a month, you guys get to be a part of the community, get the loyalty badge, you get early access to videos, you get access to our Discord channel. We give you so much hoopla. Plus, you're in the running for our raffle prizes, which I'll highlight here on the screen in just a moment so you guys can see what the hell you guys have. By the way, AntJets82, you have 6 raffle tickets towards that contest. Let me throw it up here. Let's take a quick detour. Let's show you guys the cool, fun prizes that we have here in the YouTube universe. Yes. Where do we? Here it is. Boom shakalaka. Here is our raffle prizes for this month. That is the 1975 official New York Jets yearbook cover. Shout out to diehard Jet fan Joey Matesic and fan of the Boy Green Coffee Club for donating that. Looks really cool. Love that history. And for those that did not get to make it to our Boy Green Woody tailgate, well, we're going to ship the tailgate to you in a box, just without the food, because that wouldn't be too good after. You get that awesome T-shirt. You get the koozie, Jets coasters, bottle openers. You get like an entire tailgate package as part of it. These are all the prizes for our raffle this month. A vintage New York Jets NFL Combine authentic cold gear long sleeve with the hood. That's included. Plus a random vintage Jets player t-shirt. All of those items will be given away on November 1st. To be eligible to win all of these prizes, you just need $3. So see the value here? $3. You have a chance to win all these prizes and all those other perks that I talked about earlier. Why wouldn't you want a piece of that? There are no limit on your raffle tickets. So you can buy more than one. But if you have one, you've got a chance. I always recommend every month the Boy Green Coffee Club members should at least buy them a gift to one membership just to have a chance. It's only $3. So take full advantage. So AntJets82, appreciate you, pal. Thank you very kindly. All right. We got a super chat coming in from my boy Devin. Let's go DNY for life. For sure. Here we go.
Wow.
Good morning, Boy Green. Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor suck ass. They both hold the ball way too long. Yesterday, again, highlights our wide receivers also ass. Let's play Brady. Draft another number 1 wide receiver quarterback combination. Yes. I'm all for it. Yeah, no Garrett Wilson. He missed the first game of his NFL career yesterday, and boy, did we feel it. This random group of no-name receivers. I'll give credit to Josh Reynolds. He made some crazy catches. Not like crazy like Garrett Wilson catches, but crazy for Josh Reynolds. You know, it's all in a vacuum, I guess. But crazy for Josh Reynolds. Like, oh, nice, tough, contested catch there, Josh. Nice couple of plays made by old Josh Reynolds, which I respect. But yeah, let's make no bones about it. I mean, both Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor are terrible. They do hold the ball too long. Tyrod makes too many mistakes. Justin Fields doesn't make enough mistakes because he doesn't put his players in positions to take a chance. We finally did see the Arian Smith long ball, but it's sort of like, again, if you're playing Madden with like a 12-year-old, like the 12-year-old just says to himself, oh, I'm pressing the square button. I don't give a shit what the coverage is. I don't care. As soon as we hug this ball, square. That was Justin Fields. On the Arian Smith play, he just said, fuck it. I'm throwing it. I don't give a shit if he's covered or not. Yeah. And then it just fell down to the canvas. He was double covered. But so we did get the Arian Smith throw finally, but just like for the sake of it, it wasn't even like a legitimate opportunity. Which I said I was also cool with because maybe that would back up the defense, but it didn't. Defense continued to stack the box, so why wouldn't they? It works. Look at the last 2 weeks. The Jets haven't scored a friggin' touchdown. So the defense could just stack the box and force you into making those kind of decisions. Why wouldn't they? It works. But our wide receivers are booty cheeks. Garrett Wilson needs a running mate. Maybe that's where the Jets go in the draft. Maybe they get both. I don't know. Because the first-round pick, of course, incredibly valuable. First overall pick, if that's what they end up with. And then that I always talk about it. The Jets are never in this position to this point. But to have the 33rd overall pick, it's like a bonus first-round pick. You get the first all the time for our draft fans in the audience. I'm a massive draft geek. Like, so many players fall from day 1 to day 2 that we're like, whoa, how'd that guy fall there? And the Jets, at this current moment in time, how the draft order is set, they would have the 33rd overall pick. So they would have their first pick of the litter of any of the players that fell to the second round, which could be beneficial potentially, of course, to the New York Jets. And unfortunately, it looks like we'll be talking draft sooner rather than later here, unfortunately. 27 raffle tickets, by the way, for our boy DNY for life. Let's update the banner, DNY for life. Let's update the banner. You are 5 memberships behind our number 1 Austrian Jets fan for a tie of first place. And thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate that. All right. Let's keep reading some of the... NC Green says, BG, yes, the best deal in YouTube Galaxy, even though the team stinks. That's true. Yeah. That is absolutely true, without a shadow of a doubt. We have Gator here. With the season over at this point, I don't see any reason to play Tyrod. I see Aaron playing again with Fields until we're mathematically eliminated, which may be at the bye week and then cook time. Yeah, I was just sort of talking at my father, FaceTime me last night in the middle of the Sunday Night Football game, and basically said this, Gator. Tyrod, like, what's the point? He's 36. And I've championed that for most of the offseason. But, like, Jesus. Justin over the last 2 weeks, it's just been unplayable, man. And so I have agreed with that overall sentiment. You just got to sort of ride the Justin Fields thing out, but like, it feels written out. It feels decided. So with him refusing to take chances, I don't know. My gut says they're going to Tyrod this week. And then the final question Aaron Glenn was asked at his presser, and I believe it was by Rich Samini. Do you feel that if you go, like, so he said, Aaron Glenn said the decision is he was non-committal. I'm not sure if I'm going with Tyrod, not sure if I'm going with Justin. And he said that earlier in the press conference. Reporter says, okay, you're going to go with whatever you go with. But let's just say hypothetically, you go away from Justin and go to Tyrod or whoever you go to. He's the only other quarterback on the 53-man roster. Can you ever go back, or is that sort of a finality decision? Because once you, like, is there any way to put the toothpaste back in the tube once you decide to potentially go away from Justin? Can you ever go back? And he says, it's the NFL. You can always go back. But I don't know, man. It just feels over. It just feels over. These are dark times in Jets land. Very, very dark times. And, well, a light is now emerging from this tunnel. And hopefully he can help. We've got 400 people in the room. Make sure you guys like the video. Hit subscribe. We'll open up the phone lines here in just a little bit. But first, let's go to our special guest on most of these Monday morning quarterback shows. It's Nick Ferrier, our Jets reporter from JetsXFactor.com and, of course, the Riverdale Press. Nick?
Tough time to be alive here, huh, Paul? Tough time to be alive.
Oh, good Lord, have mercy. So, Nick, did you ever think it was going to be this bad?
No, you can't think that it was going to be this bad. My win total kept dropping during camp, and I originally had, hey, they can get to 8-9 wins. This is a winnable schedule, and if they get competent quarterback play, there's enough talent on the roster to do this. But then you kind of watch the quarterback play throughout camp, and I was like, all right, 8 wins, 7 wins. Maybe 6. You kind of throw that in there potentially, but, still hope. There's still talent, but nowhere near as bad as it has been for the offense. 2 games now, 4 quarters, no touchdowns. They can't get over 100 yards passing, which in the modern NFL is just an absolute embarrassment to begin with. Even without Garrett Wilson, the fact that passing offense looked as bad as it did. And again, players were open. The tight end was open all day, and they did not target the tight end. Very confused by all of that. And it really is unfortunate because I do think the quarterback position has sort of come in here and really, really derailed things.
It feels that way. And here's the thing, right? Against Denver, while I never want to see a game with no touchdowns for my favorite team, I was like, Denver's defense is pretty good. Like, okay, well, oh well.
And Jackson
right?
Dart did that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then you saw that. And I'm like, well, Carolina, come on. They're like sort of middle of the pack in a variety of categories. Like, if you can't do it against them, who can you do it against? Well, here we are. Is the Justin Fields experiment over, Nick Ferrier?
I don't think it's over this season, but it's certainly over for 2026. I do think the fact that Aaron Glenn did open and essentially say, "Hey, I can go back to him, no problem. This is the National Football League. You have to produce when your number is called." Kind of leads me to believe they'll potentially go back to him. But for 2026, absolutely not. I think you go if you want to go in the free agent market, if you want to go in the trade market, if you're going to draft a quarterback number one overall, which I think is certainly in play the more that Fernando Mendoza continues to light it up, and the fact the Jets keep losing, I just it's not good. It's not good.
So Justin Fields is $10 million guaranteed built in his salary, and smart on Justin Fields and his agent to not just get sort of a 1-year deal, no matter what it actually said. They legitimately had significant guaranteed money next year, which no matter what happened with the Jets this year would at least give them a paycheck to walk out the door if the Jets decide to move on, or gave them a job for another year no matter what. So what happens here? The Jets just eat it and say, no, we're just going to move on and cut him anyway? Did try to trade him? I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah, there's going to be no market for him at this point. Not for a starter. I would argue even for a backup, because backups need to throw the football consistently in order to look competent. I don't think it's necessarily what happens here or there, that kind of thing. What I do think happens, and I do think is the question is, if you're going to move on, what is the solution? Because when they moved on from Aaron Rodgers last year, the solution was, well, we're going to put a lot of money into Justin Fields. We're going to allow him to play quarterback. That's not a solution. That was a hope and a dream, and that thing completely burst through the first 6.5 games. The solution has to be, what is a competent solution that protects the team in the now and in the future? And that normally means drafting a quarterback with a first round pick. I would assume Fernando Mendoza, considering how well he's been playing and considering the fact that he checks off all the Bill Parcells boxes of being a winning quarterback in college football, playing a lot of college football games, and dominating now in his final year at Indiana. So all those things, I think, tie Mendoza to this particular program. And then you kind of look and say, okay, now you need a veteran who can help him run an offense. Not someone like Tyrod Taylor who can come in and be adequate, someone who can actually teach him how to run the offense, and have a veteran like a Joe Flacco, like an Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton comes in, actually threw some pretty nice passes in that game, where he's not going to win you football. He's not going to make you a playoff team, but can he be there to help grow the young quarterback? That's going to be the question. Justin Fields can't. Tyrod Taylor can. You have to move on to that next beat. I think we could see an entirely different quarterback room in 2026.
All right, let's go to Paul Taxter, a golden super chat coming through.
Wow.
He missed this part of the conversation, Nick. I brought it up earlier in the show. Here's the long story short. I thought that there was a lot of groupthink among Jets social media, Twitter media people last year, because a few influential, big-time people that cover the Jets in the draft and draft in general said, oh, my God, Jackson Dart to the Jets, that'd be horrible. You can't possibly consider. It'd be stupid. And a lot of us said, all right, well, that makes sense. That would be totally stupid. And now Jackson Dart is showing what he's showing this year. So sort of my moral of that story, and I tweeted out last night, I repeated at the beginning of the show, it's like, man, we just have to be a lot more open to all options. We can't just rule people out for whatever reasons we decide to at the beginning of the offseason. We just have to be more open, because there was a few Jets people, Dart people. Let's go to Paul Texer. He says, I was one of the Dart guys here. He probably would have sucked on the Jets. It is what it is. I hope we get lucky this year. Same old, same old. And I just think there was a lot of groupthink last year with the quarterback thing, and I think we should be more open to options. Maybe to your point, it's just Fernando. It's obvious you have number one overall pick, not a lot to think about, and you just have one of those options. But, man, the Jets just have to be more open to these guys, because I just feel like the Jets can't miss here. This is such a franchise-altering quarterback decision that you can't miss again.
Do you know why Dart would have probably struggled with the Jets? Let's be quite frank. It's the same thing that I was pounding the table for back in January, when this coaching search first began. If you're going to bring in a rookie quarterback, what's the one thing you should probably tie him to?
The head coach, GM?
A head coach who's had a history with quarterbacks, an offensive coordinator who either is a former quarterback or a consistent mind in that kind of room, a coach that can call plays as head coach but sort of delegates in that way. It's an offensive scheme. That's how you build success for a young quarterback. Do the Jets have that with Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand? I like Tanner Engstrand. I think he's shown prowess as a play caller. He doesn't have the talent. He doesn't have the horses right now. But do they have that in this room? No, they just don't. And being fair to Aaron Glenn, they don't. He can say that he's not just a defensive head coach; he's an overall head coach, but he has no experience developing quarterbacks, and that's a completely different thing. And right now, we talk about all these teams, the Commanders, the Patriots, all these teams. The rebuilds have happened very, very quick, year in, and it's been boom, we're a playoff team. No one wants to ask why, because the Patriots had their quarterback on the roster. They had a young quarterback on the roster. They put in arguably one of the best offensive coordinators in NFL history, tied to a really, really good head coach. The Commanders, what happened? They drafted a quarterback second overall. They put him behind a very, very good offensive coordinator and a defensive-minded head coach, but they brought in Brian Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury. That quarterback room was a lot different. Right now, the Jets have an offensive room, with a really good play caller, questions at the quarterback coach, questions pretty much everywhere else. And you mean to tell me that you think Jackson Dart could succeed in this kind of environment? Absolutely not. The whole reason why the Jets continue to struggle is because they refused to get with the modern program that to win in the league, you need to figure out which offensive mind you want to tie your rope around with and let him run the team.
First off, Paul Taxer, now 15 raffle tickets are tied with Ryan McCarthy for our contest here. So let's talk about your thing here. So the Jets are 0-7, and that's an awful place to be. Is Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji going to make this decision with the Jets? Let's give them the number 1 overall pick as they have it right now.
We got the tiebreaker for it too.
Yeah, right. So until wins happen, I don't know what those are. But if that happens at some point, we could have a different conversation. They have a top 3 pick versus a top 5 pick, and God knows what. But let's say they have the number 1 overall pick. Is AG still going to be here no matter what? And Darren Muji, is there any way that Woody just despite the 5-year deal and whatever, doesn't clean house again and gives that opportunity to someone else? Well, what are your thoughts?
I'm still under the impression that he's going to get a second year and at least get the start of a second year to see if he can sort of develop that. And, in fairness to Aaron Glenn, a lot of the problems that he's having in terms of in-game management were kind of the same problems that happened with Dan Campbell. We kind of forget how bad it was in Detroit that first year when they started 0-10-1. They were down, I believe it was 3 to Cleveland. There was a clip that was making the rounds on Twitter yesterday. They were down by 3 to Cleveland, and it was 3rd and 14 with a minute to go, and the Lions called a run play. And it was just an absurd play call. And you were kind of like, what are we doing here? Dan Campbell doesn't know, anything at all as a head coach. For Aaron Glenn, that's going to be the example he sets. Listen, it happened with Dan Campbell. You got to give me more than a year. It's not fair to give a coach a year to essentially say, you need to be better, screw you, get out the door. I will say that while I do think that the Jets are going to keep him around for a full year, they also have to ask themselves, okay, do we trust this coaching staff to pick, develop, and employ a rookie quarterback? Because I think what they're going to do is the very thing that they continuously make mistakes on. If you've got a young rookie quarterback, you need to sit him for the first couple of games of the season. Let him grow into their offense. Let him sit on the sidelines and learn a little bit. Don't throw him out there on the field week 1 and say, figure it out. That doesn't work. That's not conducive to success. But this is what the Jets do. They did it with Zach Wilson, even though he wasn't ready. They did it with Sam Darnold, even though he wasn't ready. They did it with Mark Sanchez, and I would argue Sanchez wasn't ready. The one time they did it with a competent quarterback, a young quarterback, it actually worked out for them. Chad Pennington won multiple playoff games. Since then, they haven't done it. And I don't know why they've sort of changed that. It is the abject failure of the organization that they continue to throw quarterbacks in there when they're not ready. But the question comes down to, do you trust Aaron Glenn to pick and develop a young quarterback and put him in a position to succeed? And that's got to be a question the Jets have to ask themselves. Woody Johnson has to ask himself going into next season.
Again, we have our beat reporter from JetsXFactor.com, Nick Ferry, here on the show. We got 400 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. We got YouTube super chats to send in. Feel free to do so as we have a conversation with Nick. We'll eventually open up the phone lines here on the program just to go to the Jets-Panthers game, because I'm sure people want to spend a lot more time discussing that. Were you satisfied with the response after the game from Aaron Glenn on why for a second straight week he did not chuck up a Hail Mary at the end of the first half?
In this particular case, I understood it more. I don't agree with it. I understood it because he essentially said we were sacked twice in a span of 3 plays.
Mhm.
You know, already the aura of that drive was terrible. You do not need another Miami Dolphin game from 2023 where the quarterback just throws it over the middle of the field and it gets picked off for a pick six. You don't need that. The team doesn't really need that. Well, I disagree with the call. I do think I do get it in that retrospect where it's, listen, our offense stinks right now. Why am I gonna put my hope in a quarterback that can't throw the football consistently enough or accurately down the field to see that, hey, maybe this could happen, maybe this could work out.
Fair enough. We got another super chat coming in here, and thank you very much. Again, you guys can keep those flowing. If you guys are watching on YouTube, it's that money sign on your screen there on YouTube, and you guys can feel free to continue to send in your super chats for raffle tickets, and also so we can get some of your points of conversation in here on the program. So let's go to Jeremiah here on the program. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Here we go. Jeremiah Zambrata here on the program with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much. That's 3 raffle tickets for our contest. Tyrod Taylor had to throw those balls or get sacked. Every analyst agreed the wide receivers failed him. Playing Tyrod will save the locker room. If not, Glenn needs to be fired soon as the clock runs out on game 17. Your response, Nick Ferrier.
All right. So first off, Glenn kind of alluded to that he can't be the head coach of this team and say, we're putting you guys in a position to succeed, but continuously trotting out the quarterback that is not as good as the backup. I get that premise. But the idea that Tyrod had to throw those footballs, it'll get sacked. Let's be quite clear. Tyrod Taylor was not very good yesterday. That trick play, which I thought was a great trick play, I loved seeing that because it showed the offense was still creative. They're trying new things. And he underthrew him and was late on the ball by 15 yards. I mean, that should have been an easy touchdown. He was wide open for a good 5 seconds, and the ball hung up in the air, and you're waiting. Oh, it's now deflected. I mean, that's not good quarterback play. It's not good quarterback play. The second pick, it's a little more understandable. The corner made an excellent play. The second interception was an excellent play. The first interception was an excellent play. But even then, it was a late read. It was underthrown. What are we doing here, guys? I don't think Tyrod Taylor's play is going to save Aaron Glenn if this is a 1-year wonder for him in a 1 year and out type of situation. I just don't, because he's just not a very good quarterback at this point. And it's a very difficult situation to be in because they wanted Justin Fields to be good, and they wanted to run an offensive system that would work for Justin Fields. And after the Buffalo Bills game, they kind of deviated away from it because they realized we can't really do that for a full game like we did against Pittsburgh. We can't do that for a full season. And it has just absolutely curtailed ever since.
Yeah, but here's the thing I don't get, right? So the first pick, so the Al Lazard play was not a pick, right? He just missed it. Should have been a touchdown. Then the next one, he also underthrows Josh Reynolds. That, crazy one-handed play. That's awesome. But, that should have been a touchdown if Tyrod Taylor throws it better. On the second interception, so here's the situation to bring people back there, because why wouldn't you want to be there? There's 4:34 on the clock. The Jets have a 2nd and 10 at their own 28-yard line. They're down a touchdown, but they have 4.5 minutes. They got all the time in the world. Why does Tyrod throw that one-on-one with Josh Reynolds where Josh Reynolds showed no level of separation there? It was just mano-a-mano. He just, here we go, chuck it. I just didn't get the risk versus reward. It wasn't a have to have it down. It wasn't 4th down. It wasn't even 3rd down. It was 2nd and 10. And the Jets have 4.5 minutes. I don't understand that one, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel bad here, guys, but not all of the Jets' struggles are on the quarterback. I think the offensive line needs to be better in pass protection, but I do believe that they are going to be better later on in their careers. This is still a very young group. They're going to learn to gel. The Buffalo Bills offensive line is a great example. They have played together for so long and they're so good, but in the early stages, they struggled. And they struggled to figure out exactly what everyone's role was on that offensive line. Kind of in that similar boat, that offensive line is going to take time to gel, and they'll be fine. The receiving room, we knew what it was going in without Garrett Wilson. And they said, okay, we don't have a quarterback that can get to his second read. Why are we going to spend money on a number 2 wide receiver? And at the end of the day, that is a big issue in and of itself. But then you get to the quarterback position and say, our guy can't read, our guy can't throw, he's not accurate, he's making weird decisions. I mean, in a 3-play span, we had a wide receiver screen set up for Arian Smith. I think that could have gotten good yardage. He didn't throw the football. I don't understand. And I looked at the tape after, and I still don't get it. He didn't throw the football. And then the very next play, he comes back, and he's throwing into double coverage to Arian Smith down the field. I mean, the processing here is just atrocious from these quarterbacks right now. And again, Tyrod giving a player a one-on-one opportunity, fine, okay, great. The Panthers were giving you one-on-one every day. And that particular play, the receiver didn't come up with it. It's really hard for me to sit here and say, why make that decision when all game long the quarterback was making terrible decisions?
Well, touche. Yeah, fair enough. Let's get to some more super chats coming up here on the program. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jeremiah, for that one.
Wow.
All right, let's get to another one here. This is Joe Boom Jets here on the program.
Wow.
That comment deserves a wow, but at least we're having good practices. Is there like a lack of awareness here from AG? Does he not understand that those kind of comments don't really fit the bill, especially when you're now 0-7? He has not made those comments since 0-7 because that just happened. But hey man, woo, those practices, but at least we're having good ones.
He talked about it, I believe, after the Cowboy game. Right. Where the reporters asked him essentially, hey, you keep saying you have good practices. Your team stinks. What's going on here? And of course, I'm paraphrasing. They didn't
right.
say it in that way.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, he's like, that's something I have to figure out, why there's a disconnect between what we're doing in practice and what we're doing in the game. And it's a rough watch right now. I watched this game back this morning.
I'm sorry.
It's a really, really rough watch.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Joe Boom Jets, thanks for the super chat. Let's get another one here. Lou B, Super Jets fan.
Wow.
So, okay, Justin has played like dump. All right, he sucks, can't process. All those things are terrible. But he's got $10 million guaranteed next year. The Jets are going to need, if you draft a rookie, you're going to need somebody there. And at least Justin Fields does not seem, and he certainly didn't come off that way with his comments after the game, as a guy that rocks the boat. He doesn't seem like he's got a shitty attitude. He's not going to be one of those kind of guys. He seems like a good person. So would the Jets just hold on to him for that? He's just the vet quarterback because he's already there. They're already sort of pot committed financially. That Justin Fields just remains the vet quarterback next year. You mentioned earlier in the show that they could just have a completely new quarterback room, which I wouldn't be opposed to based on the results we've seen. But is there just a world where they're just like, hey, man, yeah, of course Justin comes back. That's what his contract says.
I mean, there's certainly a chance. Aaron Glenn kind of defended over and over again in that regard, but I have a hard time believing that they'll keep him on the roster after this season and with how badly he has played. Three games this year. He has thrown under, I believe, 50 yards. 3 games under 50 yards. That is shocking, to say the least.
All right, let's get another super chat here. I know you're going to love this one. I just know it. Let's go to Phil, baby.
Wow.
We wrote an article about this a couple of months ago. Let's revisit. Phil, why don't the Jets just give a 2 or 3 pick for T. McKee? And that player, for those who don't know, is Tanner McKee. That's misspelled, but that's okay. We'll let that pass, Phil. Tanner McKee, the Eagles' backup. A lot of people don't know about his story, but he's a cancer survivor. And man, he's got a lot of chutzpah. He's super talented. Why don't the Jets just give up something for him? Everyone says there was this great athletic article right before the season about this guy is your next franchise quarterback that no one knows about because they have Jalen Hurts, and obviously so Tanner McKee can't get on the field in Philadelphia. Does that make sense?
I mean, sure. Give Philadelphia a second Give him a first. Give him your
There you go.
2026
Sure.
first.
Right.
Makes perfect sense. No, but listen, Tanner McKee's really good, man. Really, really good. If Jalen Hurts wasn't on this team, he is absolutely a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. You had Howard Eskin last week saying that Jalen Hurts should be benched for Tanner McKee
Wow.
because they lost to the Giants. That's again. Philly media is on another level compared to Jets media, and
Apparently.
that is annoying in of itself. But overall, this guy's a quality starting quarterback. I compare him really to Matt Schaub. When Matt Schaub was in Atlanta backing up Michael Vick, you saw that he could be competent and pretty damn good. But you didn't really get the opportunity to do so. And then he moves obviously to Houston and takes them to the playoffs, gives them their first run of legitimate success. So I look at McKee certainly as that kind of player, a guy who can come in and really help change the culture, actually throw the football down the field accurately. Really good signal caller. I think, listen, the Jets, I think the Cardinals, I think there are going to be a lot of teams this year that are going to be potentially in for Tanner McKee to be that sort of bridge quarterback, if you will, potentially going into the future.
Okay, there you go, Phil. So it's alive. It's possible. We'll see what happens. How does this latest loss affect? We have the NFL trade deadline. It's 2 weeks away, basically. It's Tuesday, November 4th. Today is October 20th. How does the latest loss affect whatever the Jets' plans were at the trade deadline, if at all?
Well, I think that it's sell. That's essentially where you're at right now. It's there's really no reason why you're going to buy. There's no real reason why you want to stick to some of these guys. You're not competing for a playoff spot. You're not even close to a playoff spot. Get rid of some of this talent, put up some draft picks, and then again, you're going to have close to $60 million in cap space. There's going to be flexibility here in the offseason to add talent. Breece Hall, Quincy Williams. I know they keep saying Michael Carter, but I don't think you're going to get anything from Michael Carter. Jermaine Johnson, if that's part of the conversation, even though I don't think he's going to be part of the conversation, it's time to sell. It's time to get some of these players out, not because they're bad players or because they're bad teammates or bad locker room guys. It's just Breece Hall's a free agent after this year. Are you going to give him a contract? No. Okay, well, you're going to put him on the franchise tag. You're going to pay him, what is it, over $10 million going in off the set. I don't know what the trade deadline money slot is for running backs right now, but are you going to pay him over $10 million for the running back position? I wouldn't, not after the performances he's put out for the last few years. Same thing for Quincy Williams. Are you going to pay two linebackers over $10 million per year? That's a big gamble. So I look, any player of substance that is good and on an expiring deal, I think should have conversations about being moved. It doesn't make sense to keep him on the roster at this point.
Yeah, the projected franchise tag number for 2026, according to Over the Cap, is $14 million at running back.
We're going to give that to Breece Hall. 62. You know, we have $62 million in cap space. You need to fix the defensive line. You need to fix the receiver room. You need to fix the safety room. You want to put $14 million at the running back position? That's a little rich for my blood.
Fair enough. Let's do this. We've had a lot of super chats. Thank you guys for all of those. We'll get your phone calls next here on the show. Oh, boy.
1, 2, 3. Fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. Talking Jets football, man. Fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. Everyone,
J-E-T-S, Jets.
Boy Green, fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green, fucking daily, fucking daily, fucking daily. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green.
J-E-T-S, Jets.
Let's go!
Happier times at a tailgate a couple of weeks ago. And now here we are at 0-7. What a world. The phone lines are up, and that's a pinned comment on youtube.com/BoardGreen25. If you'd like to say something nice to Nick, he loves getting those compliments. Feel free to go. I see while we're waiting for those, we had a super chat coming in. Let's throw another one of these up.
Wow.
RJ MacPot 720 with a $2 super chat. Which of the top quarterbacks has the best TTT currently? I'm not sure what triple T means.
I'm not sure what the triple T's are as well. If we can get clarity on that, I can answer that question. But I'll just throw out Mendoza. Boom, done.
Okay. Is he? So I'm going to be honest. I have not paid attention to really any. I watch college football, but I haven't like thought about it in a sense of like, oh man, who would I want to draft for the first overall pick? Is he clearly the clear cut guy at this point? Are there other people in the conversation? Like, what does that look like at this point in October?
I think it's more likely than not that Arch Manning and Lenore Sellers are going to be returning to the college ranks next season, and that kind of dilutes the quarterback pool this year. Drew Allard's injury, I think there's a very good chance that he could just go back into college, transfer out of Penn State, and find a place where he can actually play quarterback with a competent offensive play caller and head coach. I look at Mendoza and I say it's the total package. He has what I compare to the Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins look, where he may not be the most athletic guy. He is sneaky athletic, but he may not be the most athletic guy. But he plays with touch, and he plays with an understanding of the offense. And it's very rare to see that at the college level now. I'm not saying he's a guy like Andrew Luck. He's not a clear cut, this is the number one overall pick every draft. That's not what I'm saying. But Jared Goff turned out to be a really good number one overall pick. And I see so many similarities with his accuracy, with his touch, with his arm strength. He is the total package of what you want as a franchise quarterback and someone who clearly has been able to win consistently at a very high level.
Yeah, by the way, I've never heard, a lot of fans have now yelled what triple T means. I'm going to be honest, I've never heard this acronym in my life, but here we go. Time to throw. Which of the top quarterbacks has the best time to throw? And I'm going to be honest, everyone's like, come on, Paul and Nick, how do you not know that? I've never heard of that in my life.
I've never, and no one up top talks about it like that. That's kind of strange.
Okay, anywho, but time to throw, who's the best time to throw quarterback? Any thoughts there?
In college or in the pros?
College, I'm assuming. Yeah.
I haven't gone through the numbers too much. I just look at kind of the tape of what I've seen so far.
All right, here's another super chat coming in. Let's go.
Wow.
RJ MacPot 720. Any clear wide receiver running back to slide up for late in the first? Now, we were talking about this as a valuable asset, that 33rd overall pick, which the Jets would currently have, and that you could get a player slip to day 2 all the time. That maybe not talk about a name because it's October 20th, so maybe not a name exists, but that thought of being aggressive and using that 33rd overall pick to move back into get a second first-round pick at a certain position, as opposed to maybe just sitting there and seeing what comes to you. What on that strategy, Nick?
Well, I certainly think you just stay packed. You don't give up assets when you have too many holes on the roster. And, wide receiver, a clear need going into next season. Yeah, I also think you could do that in free agency. I think there are going to be some solutions you could bring up in free agency to solve the wide receiver concerns that you've had. I will say, and I think it's fair, if the Jets have the 33rd overall pick, you go defense, and you go defensive line right away. You get another edge rusher to sort of help Will McDonald, to help Jermaine Johnson, and sort of rebuild the rotation that once was here with the organization. And listen, I will say,
yeah,
the positive spin on the Jets right now is the fact that Steve Wilks has his defense playing really, really well.
100%.
Brandon Stevens has played great over the last few weeks. People are arguing about the Brandon Stevens signing. The Brandon Stevens signings looks great to this point. It's just a matter right now. He's playing really, really good football. Jarvis Brownlee has changed what the secondary looks like. And the front seven against the run has been a lot better. It's not perfect, but it's been a lot better. They are playing significantly improved football under Steve Wilks, which is great to see. But you need more pressure along the edge. You want to make sure that you have that rotation going. You're going to need a long-term solution at safety. And I look at, okay, what are we going to be pinpointing here? You don't really need a linebacker now that Kiko Maigoa continues to play well. I don't think you're going to want to draft someone high in that regard. You're going to need an edge rusher. You're going to need a safety. You're going to need a receiver. You're going to need a running back, and you're going to need a quarterback. All the sexy things that fans want on draft day, you're going to need out of them. So I do think quarterback's going to be in the first round. Then it just comes down to the board. If a receiver falls, if an edge rusher falls, all of that makes sense. And I think Jet fans should be happy with either selection if that's the case.
And maybe an offensive lineman. Who knows what's going to happen with the some of the key decision makings there up front to see is Josh Myers back? Does Tippmann go back to center? Does he stay at guard? AVT, what's happening there? A lot of.
I think they'll bring back one of the two. I do think.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be AVT or Simpson, but
Yeah.
I think they'll bring back
Simpson
one of the
too,
two.
right.
The offensive line in the run game has been really good all year. Really has. Tippmann's played really well at guard. I do think they'll try to keep Myers on a nice team-friendly deal because he hasn't been bad. He also hasn't been great. It's just a matter of what we're looking at. He is who he is. And I do think whether it's Simpson, whether it's AVT, they'll bring one of them back to continue the offensive line play.
And by the way, RJ MacPot, you got a raffle ticket. Thank you so much for the fun super chats. Appreciate it. Let's go to the phone lines. Hepster up first. Hep.
How you doing? Hey guys. I was wondering, do you think that we can trust AG with this draft pick coming up if we're going to pick number 1? And with the record, with the history in the NFL of like coaches on the bubble picking number 1 and then getting fired halfway through, wouldn't this be more attractive if you were like to say to a new coach coming in, look, clearing the deck for you. We're going to give you the new pick. You pick the guy, a whole new thing. The only problem I have is I don't see any young offensive mind that we can fit in there. What do you think, Nick?
I mean, there's always young offensive minds that are going to be really, really good and you can trust going forward. There are some veteran minds that you can trust. I'm not someone that likes hiring a veteran offensive coordinator because that means their ideas got stale after a while and they just struggled. I don't think Mike McCarthy is going to want to come to the New York Jets. Everyone keeps yelling about Mike McCarthy, but that is them saying, "Well, we're just going to throw a lot of money and then he'll say yes." That's not how this works. Just under no circumstances does Mike McCarthy ever need to take the Jets job for his own sanity. That's number one. Number two, I haven't really given it total thought about which young guys could be, head coaches.
Cliff Kingsbury.
And I'll have to look at overall, but the top guy on my list continuously is Josh McCown. What he has been able to do around the league, and everyone keeps saying that he's a future head coach. Everyone understands, listen, he's never called plays. He's never been a coordinator. But in a rare instance, he knows how to do all of it because he's a former NFL quarterback. I am describing to you Josh McCown. I'm also describing Andy Reid because when Andy Reid was first hired, he wasn't a coordinator. He didn't call plays. He's never been a head coach. None of them. But the Eagles gave him the job and said, do it. Figure it out. And he figured it out, and to this day is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Not saying that's what becomes of Josh McCown, but I see a lot of similarities there because he knows how to develop quarterbacks. He knows how to call plays offensively because he's an actual NFL quarterback, and he knows the Jets market really, really well. If the Jets are going to create if they're going to go back into the coaching well, I think McCown has to be at the top of the list because he is everything that I continuously push for young coaches that want to be in the NFL that teams should be looking for.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Paul.
All right. Thank you, Hep, for that. Yeah, fascinating, man, because there was a little bit of buzz for a short period of time on Josh McCown, the coaching world for the Jets last year, and then it flamed out very quickly as they went into other directions. So interesting. Could they swing back to that this year? That'd be interesting. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Kyle Clifton joins us.
What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
How you doing?
Yeah, not great. Yeah, well.
My voice is a little rough because I was at the tailgate with Nick and Jake yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And it's worse than bad. Like the second half of football, offensive football, is unwatchable.
Yeah,
it's like watching paint dry. I was mostly socializing with people I hadn't seen for a while. Old rugby buddies,
cool.
that kind of stuff. But I gotta take issue with what Nick is saying. I think McCarthy, when you look at two top 40 picks, and it's not 60 million, it's gonna be 80 million in cap room. If you look at it. We
also don't know at this point because we say, okay, 60, 80, whatever it is. There are going to be signings that are going to be made that dilute that process. We don't know what they're going to be looking at going in. Either way, they're going to have a lot of cap space to work with.
Signings to the existing roster?
Sorry?
Signings to the existing players?
Well, if they're going to bring back John Simpson or AVT, if they're going to bring back, and if they're going to lock up Jermaine Johnson long term, you're going to have to do that in the offseason. That's going to cost money. That's going to dilute the pool. But again, it's still a lot of money they're going to be able to work with.
All right. I mean, I it's one of 32, right? Like, I don't see a problem with bringing in an offensive mind, whether it's McCarthy or Cliff Kingsbury or Joe Brady, or if McCown is the guy. I don't like. We can't go back to defensive head coaches anymore. Can't have it.
Someone's been saying this since he jumped on the beat, but no one wants to listen to him.
But I mean, that's what I felt like I needed to get off my chest. Like like the defense does seem to be coming around.
Yeah,
like, that
for sure.
And I'm grasping for positives. That's the only thing I would say. Aaron Glenn is not it, though. Like,
all right, so let's go around the room here. What are the chances in try to not what you want to happen, what you think will happen? What are the chances that the Jets fire Aaron Glenn and immediately after this season, because he's not going to get fired in the middle of the year, he gets fired after the season, they immediately go and find a guy? We'll go around the room. Kyle, what's your percentage chance of that happening?
70.
Wow. Okay, Nick.
2%.
2%. Oh my God.
I don't see it happening. I just don't. They gave him a long-term deal to get rid of it after 1 year. I think Woody was sold on this plan, and I don't think Glenn was as brazen as how good they were going to be right away in that conversation.
Nick, were you there yesterday or no?
Yes.
See, the stadium was empty, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be my answer to that.
That may not be Woody's answer.
Well, that could be true. I'm in the like 15-20% range of, like, again, not what I want to happen, just like what I think. I mirror a lot of what Ferry just said about Woody Johnson, the 5 years and all this stuff, and being told all offseason, get out of the way, let them breathe, let them go through this process, stop meddling, and that to immediately, even though it's really bad, to immediately say, fuck this, I got to go in. Like, I think that would be interesting with how Woody was just perceived last offseason to come back to that immediately, So
I appreciate your time, guys.
All right, there he is, Kyle Clifton, joining us here on the show. These are dark times, Nick Ferrier. These are dark times in the waters here, as we have a few more minutes here before we sign off on this program. It's just, what's your message to Jet fans, Nick Ferrier?
Stay the course, maybe. Maybe.
What does that mean? Stay what course? On what?
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
it's hard right now, man. The defense is playing really well. I do think you've got some really good special teamers. I wrote a column. It's coming out later today, I would expect.
Yeah.
And the crux of the column is we are exactly where we were last season. Exactly where we were last season. This team, or even 2023, the defense playing otherworldly. You give up 13 points a game, and you're supposed to win most of them, and they've lost two in a row. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. This isn't professional football. I've had people talk to me about how the tush push isn't a football play. Well, everything the Jets do offensively is an absolute embarrassment to the modern game of the NFL. It's really hard to look at it. And again, I like Tanner Engstrand. I really, really do. I think he's got a future in this league as a play caller. I really, really like it. But it's really hard for me to say, okay, he deserves an extra year under a new head coach. That's not how it's going to work. If you're getting rid of Glenn, you got to get rid of everybody. And if you're getting rid of everybody, you're starting over. And now a really good young coordinator has just gone on the open market. And it's really going to, it could hurt the team in the long run. The way that I look at it, do I trust Tanner Engstrand? Yes. Do I trust Aaron Glenn to sort of develop this? I have a hard time doing it right now. And unfortunately, that's not the only question that's going to have to be answered. You look at examples of teams around the league that have fired coaches after 1 year, all of that, I get it. But when you're looking at the Jets and the PR nightmare that they had last season, where it was just story after story after the year was just abysmal. I have a very hard time believing that Woody Johnson, after hiring the 33rd team to run his coaching search for him, you're going to just do that again? What firm are you going to bring in next? Like what firm are we going to look at next? I look at where this team is, and I look at all the struggles, and there's no one clear answer. But if there's one that I can look at and say, until you figure this out, you're never going to be good, it's the quarterback position. They don't know what they're looking at quarterback right now.
Definitely not, and that continues to be a problem, as it's been a problem, unfortunately, for a significant period of time. I see we got 69 likes, but over 150 people in the room here on YouTube. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, show your support for the channel. I'm curious, there was this report that came out. Diana Rossini sort of does a column of what she's hearing around the league, and she drops it on Saturdays. And the Jets getting trade calls on people, that part's not surprising. But then I saw a last piece of her blurb on the Jets and said the Jets are like sort of making trade calls trying to find a kick returner. And I was like, oh, that's sort of weird. Like Kene Nguanu came back. He looked pretty good. What do you make of that report?
Well, now that Nguanu has a concussion, that certainly has more credence. But the Jets are not losing games because they don't have a kick returner. Let's just put it that way.
Not anymore. Right. That happened earlier. But yeah.
I think if the Jets were even to consider trading for a kick returner and giving up assets, I think that would be arguably the worst thing they could possibly do in this situation. Even for a late round pick swap, it doesn't make sense. A kick returner is not winning you a football game. This is not Devin Hester. He's not around in the NFL anymore. I don't see any legitimate improvements based on that.
Fair enough. Joey R's asked us a couple of times, so let me get it up here. Nick, what if Aaron Glenn goes 0-17? Do you still think AG is safe?
I don't think they're going to go 0-17. I really, really don't, because they're in a lot of close games. They're still close. They're still close.
Right, like there's just chances that they're in so many close games that an oblong-shaped football will eventually bounce in their direction, basically?
Like the 07 Dolphins, I think, is a great example.
Okay.
They were terrible. One of the worst teams I've ever seen in my entire life. And one game against a really bad Baltimore Raven team. I can't remember who the guy was, but I think it was at Camarillo, catches a pass in overtime and goes for 60 yards and a touchdown. And that was it. They won the game. And that was it. It's really, really hard for me to say that they're going to go 0-17. But even then, the Cleveland Browns went 0-17 recently. And who was their head coach?
Hugh Jackson?
Hugh Jackson. Did he get fired after that year?
I don't know.
He did not.
Oh, wow.
He did not. He got fired early on the next season, but he was allowed to pick the quarterback. He was allowed to see where things went there, and he was given that extra opportunity. Just because they go 0-17 does not necessarily mean he's getting fired.
Okay. And Ant Jets 82, that was in our pre-17 game era. So no one's got 0-17 before. So the Jets have a chance to make a certain type of history if they do end up going winless this season. Nick, this has been rough. Okay, and I imagine it's only going to get rougher. Quickie on Garrett Wilson, right? So he missed the first game of his NFL career. He's been super available. The Jets play the Bengals this week. It seems like Garrett was close because of how, unless they're doing gamesmanship, like how he was doubtful throughout the week. And then we found out 90 minutes before kickoff he's not playing. So unless there's a gamesmanship, Panthers, you don't know if he's playing or not. Is there any chance he plays against the Bengals, or because of that bye week, they want to rest him for what will essentially be another 3 weeks until the next game?
I think there's a chance they want to sit him. It really just depends on what he looks like. I think the fact that they didn't want to put him on IR, they kind of alluded to him potentially playing and all these other things. There could be a chance, but I think if you're looking at the future health of the player, I think it's just best to sit him and then wait till after the bye.
All right, fair enough. Well, Nick, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the show. You're the best. Appreciate it. And the candid thoughts with our callers and super chats coming through. And, we'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, Paul. Thanks so much.
There he is, Nick Faria, our beat reporter from JetsXFactor.com and the Riverdale Press. Again, we have 500 people now in the room. I appreciate you guys because this has not been easy. Obviously not for me as the guy who's hosting this damn show, but I know it hasn't been easy for you guys to listen to some of this. It's a negative place. I wish we were in a more positive place. I wish we were talking about wins and playoffs and Super Bowls and all that jazz. We'll continue to be here with you. through hell or high water, wins, losses, ties, every single day we're here at 7:30 in the morning to give you guys the latest Jets coverage, insights, news, analysis, and everything else that we can here on the program. So I appreciate you guys being with us through it. Again, if you're a subscriber or not a subscriber, liking the video helps spread this show in front of other fellow Jet fans. Let me see how many subscribers we're up to. We got close to 8,100 yesterday. Let me see where we're at. We are at 8,093. We're 7 subscribers away from 8,100. So if you guys are watching the show right now, you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel. We do Jets content every day, and we got a big special guest joining us on Thursday of this week. You guys see him on television every single day. This is an icon in this business. One of my absolute favorites. We have a special treat, a very special treat. And this guy's joined me once before on the show, just once. But this is about to be a second time, and I can't wait for it. Look at this. Joe Boom Jets joined the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby. There you go, Joe. A raffle ticket officially for our contest, and welcome to the Boy Green Coffee Club. That is our YouTube membership group, baby. We're a community. You now have a loyalty badge next to your name, and appreciate all the good questions here on the chat. Thanks, man. That means a lot. Gotcha, brother. Appreciate that, man, and welcome to the Army. Joey R says, thanks for the therapy, Boy Green. Yes, I'll be here, baby. I'll continue to be here. So again, we're 7 subscribers away from 8,100 at the time of business right now. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as we continue to grow. My big goal that I have written in the stars when I started this YouTube channel is 10,000 subscribers. Just felt like a pretty cool number. So we're getting closer and closer every day, despite what the Jets provide us on the field. So like the video, hit subscribe, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow morning for another edition of Boy Green Daily. We'll see you then, everybody.